If you're an orthodontist, this mistake right here is guaranteed costing you conversions, because the doctor said that either will do the job, so why would they will just leave. They're not going to tell you we're confused. That's the problem. The problem is that they will never tell you directly and honestly their objections. Sometimes they can't even articulate them, but they will feel a sense of unsettled. If you're an orthodontist, this mistake right here is guaranteed costing you conversions. Hello, and welcome back to the 8-Figure Dentist podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Zhanna. So if you are a makeup girly, you can probably relate to this. But even if you're not, you're a woman, so I'm sure you've heard about foundation, lipsticks and concealers and things like that. So in order to best describe this mistake that I see many of my clients do that is costing them conversions, I'm going to give you an example with the makeup. So do you guys remember a couple of years back, this one brand of makeup went viral on Instagram? Il Maquillage. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. Do you guys remember? It's like, I think it was like a bright green box, but what they did is they launched this quiz, right? This online foundation quiz called the Power Match, or maybe some of you know it as Woke Up Like This. And this quiz promised that when you answer certain questions, they will match you with your perfect shade of foundation, right? And so they would ask you these questions about, have you guys filled it out? I definitely filled that out. And they would ask you questions about your skin tone, your skin type, your undertone, your preferences, things like that. And then at the end, they spit out this shade of foundation that's going to be perfect for you. So what that did is, they eliminated the step of you actually going into the store and either filling it out or finding the foundation yourself or talking to a consultant, because they always try it on your arm and then it's like not the same, or on your hand, and it's not the same as your skin on your face. And sometimes we spend $50-$60, get home, put it all on our face, and it's too dark or it's too white, right? So much money goes wasted. And the promise of this Il Maquillage was, hey, fill out the quiz and you're going to get a perfect shade. Do you guys remember that? And by the way, if you remember that, I'm curious if that shade was really perfect for you. It wasn't quite perfect for me, but I'm really curious. Let me know on Instagram at the8figuredentist.com. DM me. I'm very curious if you tried that shade. But here's what this company did and why they blew up and made a gazillion of dollars is because they customized the product for the customer. So geniusly, they did it without even seeing the customer. Now, what does this have to do with you and your patients? So many of you have the best intentions, but what you do is you give the patient multiple options. You say, well, we can, you have deep bite and you have this moderate crowding. So I recommend 18 to 24 months of treatment with IPR and elastics, and we can treat it with clear aligners, or we can treat it with braces. And I'm going to step out and Lily is going to help you make that decision. She's going to break it all down for you. And then you leave. And then you wonder why that patient leaves. So what I want you to start doing is I want you to not leave that consult room until you, the doctor, have helped the patient or the family make the decision about the treatment modality. Okay, there are very few exceptions around that. Very few when the surgery is involved, or we need an opinion of the surgeon first, or a consultation, or it's myopathy, and you yourself are not comfortable that the patient makes the decision about surgery right then and there. They totally could, but you are not comfortable. These are exceptions. But for the bread and butter orthodontics, I want you to leave that room with you and patient in agreement regarding the exact appliance or treatment plan, treatment modality that they're going to have. And many of you think that, well, I don't have time to go all over all of these small details of, how one appliance works, how another appliance works. And that is not what your patient wants from you. The patient doesn't need the details of how often you switch the trays and how they move teeth, how braces move teeth, and how many brackets, how many appointments. These are all mechanics. These are all the features of what you're selling. They don't care about the features. They care about the benefits. Okay. So what I teach my clients is I've printed it out. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see the picture. And if you are listening on iTunes, then go ahead and check out the video on YouTube. Just look up the 8-Figure Dentist, episode number 95, and then you will see that. So I printed it out off of the C5 website. So obviously it's biased to sell that appliance, but see what they did here. So on the top, for those of you who are just listening, there are 4 pictures of the patient's mouth, and it's 4 different appliances. First is the C5 hidden, it's not even braces, right? It's just a wire C5 appliance. Then we have clear aligners. Then we have traditional braces, and then we have lingual braces. Okay, so C5, clear aligners, traditional braces, and lingual braces. And then on the right side, they're asking a patient questions. And the questions are, let me read it to you. Completely hidden, right? Is this appliance completely hidden? Next question is comfort, like barely noticeable for the tongue, meaning, or, for the lips and stuff, for the mouth. Next is speech issues. Next is maintenance, brushing and flossing, how easy it is to brush and floss. Eating without removing trays is one of the things on the list. Obviously only applies to Invisalign. And then eating whatever you want. Okay. And the reason why I'm showing you this is I want you to do something similar. You don't have to print it out. You can do it off the top of your head, or you can print it out. But when you're helping your patient make a decision about different appliance, for example, let's just go between braces and Invisalign, and either appliance will work equally well, that really perplexes many of your patients. And they just can't understand, what do you mean either appliance will work well? Then why would we choose one? Like, how do we even make the decision? And so what they end up doing, one or two things. Either they choose the cheapest because the doctor said that either will do the job, so why would I pay more? Like, I just don't understand. Or what they do is they're so confused that they will just leave. They're not going to tell you we're confused. That's the problem. The problem is that they will never tell you directly and honestly their objections. Sometimes they can't even articulate them, but they will feel a sense of unsettledness in them. And we as humans don't want to make any decisions, let alone financial and health decisions, when we don't have a sense of certainty and calm in us, right? That just doesn't feel like a responsible way to make decisions. And you hear me talk on this podcast very frequently how we as humans are drawn to make responsible decisions. And that's sometimes when we drink or do, video games or just start scrolling, is because we're so tired of making responsible decisions that we just want to numb out and stop decision-making process, right? But when we do have the energy, we want to make a responsible decision. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to alleviate this decision fatigue from your patient. So what you're going to do is, okay, mom, okay, Johnny, so braces or Invisalign will both do the job. So let me help decide what is the best appliance for Johnny specifically. Do you see, just like that IL Maquillage did, they are customizing the product for the customer. That's what I want you to start doing. I want you to start customizing it. So what you're going to ask them is, you can use this list and you can say, okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, how important it is for you that nobody knows that you're undergoing orthodontic treatment. On a scale of 1 to 10, when 10 is extremely important, 1, I don't care. I actually kind of want braces because all of my friends have braces, right? And record that number or mentally record them. Let's say they say 8. It's really important that nobody sees, right? Then you're going to ask them, okay, what about brushing and flossing? Are you willing to spend extra time, extra 10, 15 minutes, really getting everywhere, brushing and flossing? Or is that not something you want to do or can do? Right? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is, I'm totally committed. I'll do whatever it takes. versus one is, are you joking? I'm a mom of 6 and I have 4 jobs. No way. Right? Then you're going to ask them, okay, how do you feel about needing to remove something from your mouth every time you eat? Right? Like with trays, you have to pop them out. Is that something that's not a problem to you? Or are you always in meetings, or you feel embarrassed at school and you just like, this is another thing on your list? How do you feel about that? Is it a problem or not? Again, 10, totally not a problem. 1 is, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to do this, right? Then you keep going these questions. What about food? There are certain restrictions with glued things on your teeth, like brackets, right? Inside or outside, or food restrictions, such as popcorn or anything, corn on the cob, or like hard candy, like, things like that. Can you avoid those foods for the next 18 to 24 months? Or does it seem like too big of an ask on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you will record their answers, especially at the beginning. It's a good idea to just write them down so you kind of remember. They put 8 here, they put 6, they did 4, they did another 7. And then you look at them and then you see, okay, based on this, your best appliance are aligners. And here's why. Always add this. And here's why. Because people want to feel empowered. They want to feel in control of their decisions. Again, goes back to making a responsible decision. And so when you explain logically why you recommended what you recommended, people are more likely to be on board with you. So you say, okay, based on those answers, you said that it's really important for you to eat whatever you want. And, taking things in and out is not a problem for you. But brushing, flossing is just kind of a lot for you, and you want something, you marked 8 on not noticeable. Based on that, I recommend Invisalign. Does that make sense? Ask me any questions. Do you see what I'm saying? And you can do the same thing with any other clients. Maybe they're trying to decide between lingual braces and the C5, right? And if you don't know what a C5 is, I also just recently learned it's a lingual wire. There are no brackets there. We just glue that wire for minor relapses and it aligns the teeth, right? And then you have them make that decision. Can you tolerate some discomfort from lingual braces? Or do you want something a lot smoother, but it corrects much less, only the alignment, right? You go through all these things with them, and that's how you help them make a decision to go with C5 or maybe go with lingual if there are more issues going on with their bite. I hope this makes sense, what I'm walking you through. So I want you to, let's just summarize it. I want you to help the patient decide, think of that IL maquillage quiz. They asked you, the customer, questions about your skin. Perfect solution. Imagine if you come to Sephora and you say, hey, I need a foundation. And the customer service person comes and says, oh, yeah, no problem. We have an Estee Lauder here, we have NARS, and we have MAC. Which one would you like? If you've never tried these things, which is exactly what your patient does, or maybe you've only tried MAC, but you've never tried Estee Lauder, you've never tried NARS. So you're really curious. Maybe those are better, but how am I going to know? Right? The sales associate needs to customize her or his suggestion to you and explain why, right? It's also not enough for them to say, oh, I love Estee Lauder. It has such thick consistency and it really gives me full coverage, so I look very tan. But maybe that sales associate has more olive complexion. You have more fair complexion. Looking tanner is not what you want. Right? She needs to customize it for you. Versus if she says, oh my gosh, I love Estee Lauder. It layers so well so that during the summer, you can put an extra layer and look tanner, while during the winter season, month, you can just put one coat and have this natural slight glow to you, which is not too dark. Of course, I'm going to buy this foundation now. Back to your consult room. I want you guys, for your next consult, if they are considering different options, or you suggested that different appliances might work well, or maybe you recommended, let's say, conventional braces, but at the end of the consultation, they wonder, what about Invisalign? Would Invisalign work for me, or clear aligners? Or maybe what about lingual? I know, doc, you never talked about lingual. Is that not an option for me at all? Some of you get very jarred, like, oh my gosh, I just did this whole spiel about braces and they want lingual braces. Not a problem. Have something like this chart for yourself, either mentally or literally physically print, and walk them through these questions. What is most important to the patient? And then at the end, make your recommendation custom for them and explain why. When you do this, you are going to have such higher chances of this patient converting. You wouldn't believe it, because you've created certainty. There was nothing. First of all, your TC is going to love you, because now she doesn't have to do, or he doesn't have to do, all this heavy explanation between the cases, and the patient starts asking clinical questions. And the longer we go down this rabbit hole of decision making, the more the patient fatigues and they're not going to make a decision. Because again, remember what kind of decisions the patient wants to make. Exactly, a responsible decision. But when you're tired, you're not going to make a good decision. Try this technique this week. Let me know on Instagram at the8figuredentist.com how it's going. Otherwise, I'm going to see you in the other episode of Conversions. As always, feel free to use any of the additional resources in the show notes below. I have 2 spots open for private coaching. So if you are considering taking yourself or your practice to the next level, book a call with me. It's a free 1-hour consultation call, or hop on the waitlist for my 12 months mastermind, boutique practice accelerator mastermind, where I help women dentists and orthodontists grow their practices, increase their conversions, create stronger teams, and have overall less stress and overwhelm in their lives. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you being here. I don't say that enough. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. I look at how many people are listening to the podcast, which episodes you guys are loving. So from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you being here. And if you can spare a moment of your time to leave a review so that more people can find this podcast, I would really appreciate that. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.